Imagine for an instant the power of being impassive. To stop reacting, that is the first step on the path to becoming unreachable. If that is your longing, an understanding must blossom within you immediately. Every time you let yourself be carried away by an impulsive reaction, you give up a portion of your own strength. Most people navigate life in a constant state of response, like leaves in the wind to any comment, any look, any breaking of their expectations. And as long as you continue dancing to that reactive tune, you will be an easy target for manipulation, predictable in your movements, and, above all, vulnerable to being hurt. Carl Jung, with his profound gaze into the human soul, spoke to us of how unbridled emotions are an echo of our inner shadows, those unresolved conflicts that dwell within us. Thus, if something disturbs you, if you feel destabilized, it is not because that external factor has an intrinsic power over you, but because in your own depths resides something that you have not yet managed to master. And it is precisely here where the knot of the problem tightens. Every attempt at justification, every response tinged with anger or frustration, is a clear signal you send to the world. They can affect you. They have some control over your being, however minuscule. But what happens when you learn the art of not reacting? When a hurtful word is thrown at you, and you find only imperturbable calm within you? When provocation tries to ignite the spark of your anger, and your face remains serene, without the slightest alteration? When chaos breaks out around you, and you remain like a beacon of peace? It is in those precise moments when being unreachable becomes your armor. How to forge this inner strength. How to train your being to stop being a puppet of circumstances. Begin with a conscious pause before responding. Inertia pushes us to immediate defense against an attack, but by training your mind to stop at the threshold of reaction, you regain control. Ask yourself sincerely, does this situation really deserve my energy? The answer, in most cases, will surprise you with a resounding no. Learn to observe without getting involved. Jung bequeathed us the wisdom of detached observation. Not everything that happens in the theater of life requires your active participation. Sometimes, the most eloquent response is silence. Become an equanimous spectator of events. Practice selective indifference, not as a denial of your emotions, but as a deliberate choice of what you give your valuable attention to. You cannot prevent someone from trying to disturb your peace, but you can erect an invisible wall that prevents their game from reaching you. Master your body language. Silence, the calm that radiates from your presence, and a neutral expression are weapons of unsuspected power. When someone seeks to destabilize you and you maintain a firm posture, without moving an inch, without revealing the slightest reaction, at that precise moment you feel their power fade away. Replace automatic reaction with a strategic response. Instead of letting yourself be dragged by the emotion of the moment, choose your response with a vision for the future. Sometimes, silence is the most powerful strategy. Other times, a simple smile disarms any attempt at aggression. Do not be carried away by immediacy. Consider the long-term consequences. When you reach this level of mastery over your own responses, the perception that others have of you transforms radically. Some will feel disconcerted, unable to understand your new equanimity. Others will be frustrated at not getting the expected reaction. But a few will profess an even greater respect for you. Because the energy of someone unreachable is palpable, it radiates, it imposes itself without the need for words. And the most transcendent thing of all is the change you will experience within. You will realize that you are no longer a puppet of your emotions, because being unreachable does not imply being indifferent, but being the master of yourself to such an extent that no external factor can divert you from your center. I propose an exercise to strengthen your emotional control. If you long to begin this journey towards unreachability, I propose a simple but revealing exercise. For 1 week, every time you feel that something provokes an impulsive reaction in you, stop. Wait 5 seconds before responding. Observe the signals your body emits, the tension that accumulates, the discomfort that arises, the anxiety that tries to take control. Recognize these sensations as indicators that there are still areas within you that need to be trained. Make a list of the situations that most frequently drag you into reactivity and analyze the roots of those responses. Every night, reflect on how many times you allowed something external to affect you during the day. Visualize clearly the version of yourself that no longer falls into those emotional traps. Make it an integral part of your identity. When this transformation begins to take shape within you, you will begin to contemplate the world from a completely new perspective. And the most amazing thing is that by learning to release the power of reaction, your inner strength will multiply exponentially. And so, we arrive at a profound truth. When you learn to let go, you discover yourself possessing a strength you never imagined. There is a reality that escapes the understanding of many. Attachment is the greatest vulnerability that can afflict a human being. Everything you cling to tenaciously, everything you find difficult to let go of, is precisely what keeps you susceptible to being hurt. Those people who truly achieve unreachability have mastered the subtle art of detachment. But here lies the difficulty. Most of us do not know how to let go. We cling to people who no longer vibrate in our tune, to situations that imprison us, to unrealistic expectations, illusorily believing that by letting them go, we will lose something of incalculable value. We were instilled with the false notion that letting go is synonymous with losing, that walking away is a form of surrender. However, the truth is diametrically opposite. When you learn to release the moorings, you free yourself. Carl Jung, with his usual insight, emphasized the importance of detachment as an essential process for individuation, for the full realization of the self. He deeply understood that those who are incapable of letting go live chained to their past, to wounds that still bleed, and to the chimera of controlling the uncontrollable. And it is precisely at this point where immense power resides. When the fear of losing vanishes, you become untouchable. The fundamental error lies in desperately clinging to what, deep down, you know is not meant for you. Stop for a moment and reflect. How many times have you stayed in a place where your spirit no longer found nourishment? How many times have you prolonged relationships that drained your vital energy simply out of the paralyzing fear of loneliness or change? How many times have you tried to mold someone with the vain hope that one day they will transform into the person your heart longs for? Here lies the truth you need to embrace today. Nothing you have to beg for to stay by your side has real value. Nothing you have to force with exhausting effort truly belongs to you. Everything that steals your peace is, without a doubt, too expensive. The strongest souls have learned the wisdom of letting go quickly. They do not linger where their worth is not recognized. They do not insist where respect has disappeared. They do not fear loss because they trust that what truly belongs to them will never need to be forced. How to cultivate this art of letting go without the sting of loss. Begin by transforming your perspective on detachment. Jung bequeathed us a profound maxim. What you resist persists, what you accept transforms. Letting go is not a loss, but an act of profound acceptance. It is recognizing that some people come into our lives to teach us valuable lessons, not to stay by our side permanently. It is understanding that certain opportunities, although attractive at the time, were not destined for our path. It is assimilating that life unfolds in cycles, and some must close to allow us to move towards new horizons. Facing the fear of letting go is crucial, as this is the main reason why many cling to what no longer serves them. The fear of loneliness, of making a mistake in the decision to let go, or of future regret, paralyzes many. However, the truth is that by confronting those fears, we discover that their magnitude was never as great as we imagined. Perform a conscious release exercise. Think of something that you find difficult to abandon today, whether it is a relationship, a recurring thought, or a persistent situation. Ask yourself sincerely, what would happen if I simply stopped carrying this weight? Visualize the lightness, peace, and tranquility that would invade you. That feeling of freedom is the unequivocal proof that letting go is the right thing to do. Repeat this affirmation every time resistance invades you. I trust that what is for me will come effortlessly, because that is the fundamental truth. Nothing that is truly meant for you will need to be desperately held on to. Break the pattern of emotional attachment. The next time you feel the need to insist in a place where your worth is not recognized, do the exact opposite. Walk away. Observe what happens when you don't run after what longs to leave. You will discover that, in most cases, by letting go, the universe surprises you with something much better. The definitive proof that you need to let go presents itself when, faced with doubt about the permanence of something or someone in your life, you perform this mental exercise. Imagine them absent. Observe your feelings about that idea. If a feeling of peace floods you instead of anxiety, you have the answer. Many times, the problem is not the attachment itself, but the resistance to accepting the obvious. You cannot cling to what is not destined to stay with you. The true power of letting go is revealed when you master this art. Your energy transforms, leaving behind the feeling of lack to embrace abundance. People perceive you differently, attracted by the magnetic security of someone who is not afraid to lose. You have more control over your life by freeing yourself from what harms you. Letting go is the ultimate expression of self-confidence. Whoever cannot let go remains a slave to fear. But there is an even more powerful art than letting go, the art of silence. And it is precisely this silent mastery that distinguishes the truly unreachable. You should know that silence and mystery increase your value. Truly unreachable people have mastered an art that few understand: silence. In a world where everyone yearns to be seen, heard, and validated, the one who knows how to be silent and remain reserved possesses an incomparable advantage. Not revealing too much, not reacting impulsively, and not offering unnecessary explanations turns you into someone others cannot decipher, and the unknown always generates intrigue. Carl Jung spoke of the importance of introspection and how the most powerful people are those who control their own narrative. They do not need to announce what they think, feel, or will do. They simply act, observe, and let the results speak for themselves. In contrast, most people lack control over their words and energy. They talk excessively, elaborate on explanations, and seek justifications, ignoring that every unnecessary word is a piece of information that others can use against them. The psychology of silence and its impact on your life. When you're a person who is too accessible, predictable, and talkative, you lose appeal. Your value decreases because others feel they already know everything about you. There's no mystery, no depth, nothing that drives them to discover more. This applies to all areas of your life. In personal relationships, if you're always available and share every thought, you become a safe option, but not necessarily an interesting one. People take you for granted. At work, if you reveal too much about your plans and strategies, others can get ahead or take advantage of your information. In life in general, if you constantly try to explain your decisions, give reasons for every action, or justify every step, others feel they have the right to comment on your life. Fact number 1. The less you reveal, the more control you have. Silence protects you. Not everyone needs to know what you think, and not everyone deserves access to your life. When you start to talk less and observe more, you begin to discern the hidden game behind every conversation. By being silent, you become more unpredictable. No one really knows what you think, and that gives you an advantage. Others respect you more, because whoever does not feel the constant need to explain themselves projects confidence. You learn to detect people's energy. Listening more and talking less allows you to identify hidden intentions. Here are some tips to use mystery to your advantage. 1. Don't reveal your plans until they are already underway. Many people fail by announcing their moves before executing them. Don't warn, just do it. 2. Don't explain your decisions. You don't have to justify yourself to anyone. If you made a decision, stand firm and let the results speak for themselves. 3. Control your body language. Mystery resides not only in what you say, but in how you behave. A neutral face, a confident gaze, and pauses before speaking generate a greater impact than 1,000 words. 4. Learn to enjoy silence. Don't fill every moment with unnecessary words. Truly powerful people are comfortable in silence because they know they don't need to prove anything. 5. Make people wonder more about you. Don't tell everything at once. Leave room for curiosity. Interest increases when there is something to discover. 6. Be aware of the power of the pause. When someone asks you an uncomfortable question, don't answer immediately. Take a moment to think, to assess the situation. That pause makes others feel that what you are about to say has weight and value. And 7. Don't share your weaknesses with just anyone. People can use that information against you. Make sure that those who have access to your vulnerability are people who truly deserve it. And now I present another practical exercise to strengthen your silent presence. For 1 week, practice the following. Respond with fewer words. Don't explain more than necessary. Be clear, concise, and direct. Observe more than you speak. Analyze how people act when you don't reveal all your information. Use pauses in your conversations. Before responding, take a breath. Maintain control. Don't announce your plans before they are a reality. Let people be surprised by your actions, not your words. Another important point is that when you prioritize yourself, the power dynamics shift in your favor. Most people live putting others first. They do everything to please, to fit in, to be accepted. And this is the mistake that makes them weak. Because every time you put yourself last, you give someone else control over your life. Carl Jung spoke of the importance of individuation, the process of becoming a complete and independent person. But you cannot achieve it if you continue to sacrifice yourself for people who would not do the same for you. Unreachable people have understood this. When you prioritize yourself, the power shifts in your favor. Why prioritizing changes your energy? The problem is that we have been taught to feel guilty for thinking about ourselves. From a young age, we're told that being selfish is wrong, that we must give, that we must sacrifice ourselves. But there is a big difference between being selfish and having self-love. Selfishness is demanding without giving. Self-love is giving, but without allowing yourself to be worn down. And here is the key. When you start to prioritize, people perceive you differently. You stop being an easy option, someone they can use when it suits them. You become someone with standards, and people respect those who have standards. I'll teach you how to start prioritizing without guilt. Learn to say no without explanations. You don't have to justify why you don't want to do something. A simple no, thank you, is enough. Stop giving without reciprocity. If you notice that you're always the one who gives, who makes the effort, who does all the work, stop. Observe who is really there for you. Cut off access to those who don't value you. Not everyone deserves a place in your life. If someone only appears when they need something, remove them from your circle. Invest time in yourself before others. Don't put anyone above your peace of mind. If something wears you down more than it contributes, it's not worth it. Get rid of the guilt of prioritizing. You don't owe your time or energy to anyone. If someone gets upset because you put yourself first, that person benefited from you neglecting yourself. When you reach this level, the world starts to treat you differently. When a person becomes unreachable, their energy changes. They are no longer someone who begs, who chases, or who lets themselves be dragged down by what others want. They are someone who knows their worth and who is not afraid to lose what is not good for them. People who have reached this level have developed a presence that is felt. It is not something that is said, it is something that is perceived. When you enter a room, people can notice the difference. You don't need validation, you don't need approval, and that's why you suddenly start to receive more respect, admiration, and more opportunities. People respect those who are not afraid to lose anything. Carl Jung spoke of the concept of individuation, the process of becoming a complete person without depending on the external world. When you reach this level, the way others perceive you changes radically. Think about this. Have you ever met someone who needs nothing from anyone, and for some reason, everyone wants to be close to that person? That's because independence is attractive. When you're a person who stands alone, people stop taking you for granted. Those who previously ignored you start to seek you out. Opportunities come without you having to force them. Your presence becomes stronger without needing to say anything. Unreachable people don't have to prove anything. They don't seek to impress. They don't seek attention. But somehow they end up standing out. Why? Because self-confidence is magnetic. Look at the difference. Someone who seeks approval talks too much, tries to please, wants to be liked. Someone who is unreachable is simply present with a firm energy, without the need to prove anything. And here is the key point. When you reach this level, people start to treat you as someone worth knowing. I'm going to give you 3 keys to make sure you never again become a person that others can manage or manipulate. 1. Never put anyone above your peace. If someone makes you doubt your worth, that person does not deserve a place in your life. 2. Don't explain or justify yourself. When you make a decision, stand firm. You don't have to convince anyone that you're doing the right thing. 3. Surround yourself with people who also have this mindset. If you surround yourself with insecure people who depend on validation, it is only a matter of time before they drag you back into that cycle. Therefore, when you are unreachable, social dynamics change in your favor. Being unreachable not only means that people see you differently, but that the game changes completely. The people who previously ignored you now seek you out. Those who thought they could manipulate you now feel uncomfortable in your presence. Opportunities begin to arrive without you seeking them, because people detect the energy of someone who knows their worth. Exercise to maintain this state. If you really want to make sure you never lose this mindset, do the following for 1 week. Observe who tries to get your attention and ask yourself if they really deserve it. Every time you feel the need to explain or justify yourself, stop and be silent. Eliminate any behavior that indicates desperation to be accepted. Every night, reflect on whether today you acted from security or from the need for validation. If you made it this far, there is something you already know. Becoming unreachable is not an act of arrogance, but an act of personal power. It is understanding that no one has the right to control you, manipulate you, or make you feel less than you are. It is taking command of your own life and establishing clear boundaries that no one can cross. People who have reached this level no longer play by the rules of others. They do not seek approval. They do not ask permission to be who they are, and that is why the world treats them differently. Because when you don't chase, you become the magnet. When you don't beg, you become the prize. When you don't explain yourself, you become a mystery, and mystery always attracts. What happens when you adopt this mindset is that your presence changes. You stop being someone who can be ignored or taken for granted. Relationships that did not add to you disappear. Only those who truly value your energy will remain. Opportunities arrive on their own because security is magnetic and people perceive it. You have peace of mind because you no longer wear yourself out trying to fit in or please everyone. But this is not something that happens overnight. It is a decision you must make every day. Every time you want to react impulsively, every time you feel the need to explain yourself, every time you doubt your worth, remember, you are the one who decides whether you remain accessible or rise above all that. Your challenge from today. I want you to do this. Comment below with the following statement to reaffirm your commitment to this change. I choose to be unreachable. Let the world know that you are no longer the same person who used to need validation or attention, but someone who respects themselves, who prioritizes themselves, and who is not afraid to let go of what does not serve them. And when you do this, when you truly live it, you will see how the world begins to treat you the way you always deserve to be treated. Because being unreachable is not about moving away from the world. It is about getting closer to your best version. Subscribe to Psicologia Despierta and don't miss any personal growth techniques. Thank you for staying and see you in the next video.